Greetings, geniuses. This video is going to cover another topic from the INFJ perspective, as usual. And today we're going to talk about socializing versus solitude, and what are the benefits of both, and what are the negatives of both, because there is a balance, and I think if you're an INFJ, you probably already are hyper aware of the differences and good and bad that we can get from each. But regardless of what your personality is, this also applies to you, and it's something to be aware of. So first, let's talk about socializing a little bit. And of course, we're using that word to cover all the topics or the range of topics regarding being an extrovert, or at least functioning in that type of group of people or atmosphere. And so, of course, there's a lot of benefits from socializing, interacting with other people, and those can be not feeling lonely, learning from others, being able to share with others and help others, because that's one of the things I've found that's very counterintuitive, that when we're down or we're feeling alone, sometimes we just wish somebody would come in and sort of save the day and ask us how we're doing, ask us if we need anything, and actually mean it and do it without us asking for it. But the truth of it is, and again, I've learned this from experience over and over so many times, is that if I feel lonely or if I feel left out, whatever that may be, kind of depressed, as probably some of you are feeling now, and I've been there, one of the best ways to kind of snap out of it is to do for somebody else what you wish somebody would do for you. And when you do that, first thing, it takes the focus off of you and the whole me, pity party, which I'm not saying that if you feel depressed and lonely right now, that it's your fault or you deserve that. You don't. And most of the time, it's not because of something we did or something we deserve, anything like that. Sometimes it is because of our personality, but a lot of times it's just how the world is, and everybody is busy, everybody has their own priorities, and sometimes just everybody kind of forgets about you at the same time. And it's not even really forgetting or that they don't care, it's just, sometimes it's just a timing thing. And that's how the world is sometimes. Just as I'm sure you've noticed, at times or on certain days, everything seems to go right. And you have a great day. And you're just like, wow, everything's fabulous. I wish every day was like this. And then maybe even the very next day, you could have the opposite. Or more than likely, it just goes back to quote-unquote normal. So there's many benefits of just serving other people, trying to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because it also opens up yourself to those same people that you tried to help. They might, not a guarantee, but it's kind of like the idea of karma. They could give back to you at a later date in a way that is unexpected, the same way that you did for them. And of course, that's the disclaimer, because there is no guarantee, but it does happen and it works. And whether it was a neighbor that you helped with something that could be totally mundane, and it could be a 1-minute thing, a 5-minute thing, or 30 minutes, or a family member or a friend, whatever it was that you went out of your way to do, that kind of stuff does come back around to you in some way or another, whether it's them actually doing something for you someday, or just giving you a smile when you needed it, or saying even just one sentence or a few words, whether in person or online, or they said something nice about you to somebody else and the word got around. And I say all that to say, of course, we shouldn't do things for people with the goal, the plan, or hope of it coming back around to us. I'm just saying it's one of those universal laws of our world that works, and it does happen. And I'm not an expert on the subject. I've watched movies, read articles, and watched, videos online just like many of you have. But when I say that it works, I say it from personal experience probably 300 times over. And probably for a lot of people as well. It took me that many times until I really believed it enough and experienced it enough to actually tell other people about it, like I'm telling you right now. So I hope that gets my point across on socializing, because as INFJs, we are naturally introverted. And please stop thinking that introverted is a bad thing if you do. There's essentially the two types of people, either introverted or extroverted, when we're just talking about that function of personalities. And so obviously both have great things about it, and then other things that maybe aren't so great. Maybe it just depends on the situation and the person. But there has long been the connotation of introverted being a bad thing, as though we're shy, we're scared, we don't want to break out of our shell, is a horrible descriptor that has been used many times. But you see the memes out there about how it's not, and I can't quote it exactly, but it's not that we don't want to socialize, but we don't usually have the people that we want to hang out with at the time. Or I wish I could remember the one that I just read a couple days ago, but anyhow, you know where I'm going with that. And so introverts tend to just be more picky choosy about who we want to hang around with. And when we do find that person, or everything just clicks with somebody, we can switch in the snap of a finger and be the most outgoing, silly, ridiculous, funny person on the planet. And INFJs are also known for kind of being natural comedians when we have the right people and atmosphere in place. And it's usually just a temporary thing, maybe 1 minute, 5, 10. It all depends, of course, but it's usually a short-term thing, and then we sort of go back to whatever our normal state is. But introverted is good, extroverted is good, and then the cool thing about INFJs is we're also known for being omniverts. And essentially, we can be any of those. We can bounce between introverted, extroverted, depending on the group of people that we're with or person. And so that was one of the very eye-opening things about the INFJ personality, because growing up and at different times in my life, I sort of saw myself at different times as introverted, and then different times, even years of my life, as extroverted, mostly in middle and high school, I would say. So, but now it all makes sense that we can be both. And a lot of that has to do with our own growth too, individually, and how we take care of ourselves, how we rest and recover our energy when we have our solitude time, which brings us to the other side of the coin, which is solitude instead of socializing. So obviously solitude covers the whole topic of us being alone by ourselves. And we're not, the benefits of that include things like other people not using up our energy because we're constantly reading other people or empathizing with them, trying to serve them in some way, even if it's just mentally and empathetically. But there's also other bonuses, such as us being able to read, watch videos, gain more insights without any distractions. We can really get into our heads about things, which we're always doing, but we can really go into that place where we can think back about good things we've done and lessons we've learned. And INFJs tend to constantly introspect on all of that kind of stuff, which is why we're sort of natural at self-development. And we do really well with that, even without any sort of training, because lots of the sort of bullet points that you would connect to self-development are things that INFJs do anyway. So it's very natural for us. And solitude, obviously we're away from people, so we're away from negative people, narcissists, bad attitudes, you name it. That's some of the great things from solitude. So I also want to mention that there's a lot of talk in the INFJ community and memes that talk about us being lonely, us not wanting to socialize, and how when we do, we instantly regret it, those sorts of things. And it's all true, and it's hilarious. But one of my personal pet peeves that it took me a few years of being in the INFJ community to get to was I'm really tired of seeing INFJs or people who talk about INFJs to just be complaining and doing sort of the pity party online about how we're so lonely and nobody understands us and nobody will ever understand us and, all that stuff. Because we reap what we sow, and that includes what we put into our mind. So if you focus on that, and if you put that out into the atmosphere all the time, that's what you're going to get, that's what you're going to see, and you're even going to sow that for other people, because they're going to be listening to that over and over, and yes, they're going to feel like, oh, yes, you finally understood me. And I was right all along. I should be sad and lonely. And that's going to be the rest of my life. And no. I'm here to say that is wrong. Everybody gets sad and lonely at times. If you're feeling that way, it's completely normal. But it's not permanent. And I've lost a few people from suicide in my life too, and as much love and respect as I had for those people, they made a huge mistake, because loneliness and depression is not permanent, but suicide is. So when you make that choice, you can't take it back. It's over. So if you had a bad day, bad week, bad year, you are choosing to finish it that way. And you're not giving yourself any time to make a comeback. And of course, there's the whole heaven or hell connection topic segue that I'm not going to go with that. But I don't necessarily believe that if you commit suicide, you're going to a bad place. I think there are a lot of factors that we just don't know. And we're human. We're not God. We're not omnipotent. So I also don't agree with anybody who thinks it's a cut and dry thing. However, it doesn't mean that no matter what, and no matter what you believe, this life isn't very important. And we should consider it that we only get one. And nobody can really prove or make anyone believe that it's any different than that until you're already done, I guess, and moved on into the next world or after that. So why take a chance, right? It's an unnecessary chance to not know what's going to happen. And you just don't want to leave that legacy either. There's so many bad reasons not to, and so many good reasons to just keep on fighting another day. And when nobody else believes in you, you can. And you can still be there for yourself. And depression is temporary. It will end. You will move on. And I know from my own experiences, I've been there, done that so many times. And I can only say that I've grown so much as a person because of the bad times. And now in hindsight, many years later, I'm thankful for those experiences because one, they're over, if I'm honest. And two, like I said, if they wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have grown and learned so much and made sure I was never the kind of person that some people in my life were. Just horrible, hateful, evil people. And I also learned how to treat other people better. And like I was saying earlier, how to be there for people in the simplest ways. And it makes a big difference. So one more time, if you're depressed, if you're feeling alone, nobody's around, nobody cares, I'm sure you can find somebody today, this week, that you could do something for them. And I guess I can't promise it's going to change everything, but for at least a few minutes, it's going to get the focus off of you and how terrible things are, whether they were things of your own making or not. And it's just life in this world. It's temporary, and just keep moving. Don't just hunker down into your own world, your own home, wherever it is, your own room, and just try to shut it all out because you're just letting all of those feelings win and take over. So be brave, courageous, have faith, and keep looking and waiting, expecting for the day when things are going to turn around. But you got to take actions too. You got to take steps towards it. But I have zero doubt that that day will come for you, just like it did for me many, many, many times. So I only know that from experience, and that's why I can say it with confidence. So I hope this video has helped in some way or entertained in some fashion as I keep bringing more topics to you from my own experiences and I'll look forward to talking to you in the next video. So until next time, I'll see you soon, genius.